All right. Let's get this in motion. Hello, lovely peoples out there. Happy Oshi Day, everybody. Definitely, if you haven't today had a chance, go check your Oshi and wish them a happy Oshi Day. Because they love it, they need it, it lifts people up. Especially if they're your Oshi, because they love to hear it. Because a lot of times, everybody has the enemy whispering brainworms if you're a VTuber. And you never know if you're actually gonna be somebody's Oshi, but you get flattered and you love it. Because it's a thing. But of course, I'm a little bit late starting today because, well, there was a little bit of a pharmaceutical emergency in this household. Had to actually run out and get the medications before we ran out before it had been, tomorrow. That would have been horrible. So, of course, can't be running out of your medications. That wouldn't be too good. Next thing you know, you're definitely... with regards to my Oshi, you wind up joining the Skitsus. Yes, my Oshi is Kitsunero. I am a Skitsu. And I actually am on my meds, so we can be happy. My meds are kind of mandatory in the middle of the week. Saturdays when things get a little bit off kilter because, I'm not required. I can take my chances. I really can. I swear. Don't tell me no. All right. But of course, I wanted to kick off today just a little bit with a little bit of a styling of something that would lean into things slightly modified verse and with regards to translation, but Ephesians 6:11-17. Put on the full armor of God so that you may stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world. Therefore, take up your katana of the Spirit, which is the word of God, with your breastplate of righteousness fast tight, your belt of truth clinched, and your feet shod with the readiness of the gospel of peace. Stand firm like a warrior before the dawn, unflinching in the storm. So yes, definitely follow that. That actually leads into where I wanted to actually talk today about different things that I found absolutely interesting. So pardon me a second. Gotta love it when I pick the wrong scene. That's why I have a scuff tag. So, yeah, of course. So, kicking things off here with what I do have. Right in here, Hasekura Tsunenaga, The Adventures of the Christian Samurai. And I'm not too certain if a lot of people actually know about this, but there were a couple of Christians that were samurai. So just to read this over, I wanted to actually read things out and introduce a few things. I mean, a lot of people don't really know their history too much. And this is what you would call a small kernel of history that gets glossed over and nobody really talks about it. But Japan and Europe were connected long before the Japanese reopening of the 19th century. The meeting of Hasekura Tsunenaga with the Pope marked the end of an intriguing era. So, of course, a samurai and a Pope walk into a bar. They have a good chat, and the samurai becomes a Catholic. Sounds like a dumb joke from a history nerd's fanfiction, right? Well, not quite. Samurai and the Pope really did meet in Rome in 1615. 2 years earlier, a Japanese delegation had set out for Europe, seeking to establish both commercial and religious ties with Christendom. Headed by a samurai named Hasekura Tsunenaga, The visitors crossed the Pacific Ocean and traveled across Mexico before arriving on European shores. The Japanese caught the attention of the monarchs, merchants, and popes, and Hasekura became a temporary celebrity. Yet, Hasekura's journey occurred at an unfortunate time for both Japan and Europe, as European kingdoms were gripped by missionary fervor. Japan's rulers feared the growth of the Roman Catholicism in their own domains. Within the next 25 years, Catholicism would be outlawed in Japan. And that is the one thing that a lot of people definitely mention, that it was banned, and it was due to political situations. It entered the closed era of Japan. But of course, we'll need to roll back time just slightly. The Great Unknown, Hasekura Tsunaga's early life. And of course, there is artwork of him, and well, let's just say that's real art. In this era today, people are going to try to do AI art all over the place. But that's neither here nor there. And I was having a discussion today with somebody at the office, and I ended up, because the discussion at the office, of course, AI, everybody in business and everything is talking about that sort of stuff. And I ended up saying, hey, remember 6 months ago you could tell AI from the art, from the hands? You can't anymore. The AI has figured out hands. It's figured out extremities. Now you have to pay attention to the words, like the translations or subtitles or any of that stuff, or the repeated generations of a certain character. There's always going to be differences, so you have to pay attention even closer. And they were just shocked. And I ended up saying, give it another 6 months. It's going to keep getting more accurate and more accurate and more accurate as things keep getting fed to it, and everything keeps getting done with it, and everything keeps moving with it. And that's going to put a lot of people out of work. I wouldn't be surprised, myself included, if one day I go to work and they say, yep, we got a bot. Have a nice day. In fact, some places are actually saying that's happening right now to a lot of businesses. In fact, there are a lot of different things that are going on, but AI is going to be a double-edged sword, just like the internet was back in the 90s. Originally, businesses didn't know how they would compete. Things are going to change. Things are going to shift. And I feel sad for the state of how things are going to be. Because when it comes to AI, for somebody who's old like me, because I'm the old man here, I've been through several of these jumps. And the one thing that I can say is 10 years from now, the scary part's going to be actual artists. I mean, if people already complain that art is a expensive luxury item today, think about it 10 years from now when the AI has basically been overfed. I mean, that's where you can get sad. Because with regards to things, it's where the amount of time it's going to take for somebody to do things in AI is, well, it's going to have its own costs, and that's probably going to be what's going to set the price margin. And that's going to get even harder. I'm just going to say it. Getting somebody with true artwork is one of those moments that you can actually have points of pride. You can draw your line in the sand. But I'm just thinking a lot of things are just going to keep on moving, and more people are just going to start using it. And right now, in the VTuber community, I can be kind of happy that there's a little bit of a stigma of if you use AI to generate any of your assets, I mean, it turns people away. I mean, we could definitely say it's the purists. I mean, art purists. And I don't fault them for that. I really don't, because they were here from the beginning. I am a big fan of, like, I mean, you look back at the art from like Akira or even the first Princess Mononoke, or, you know, the old cell shading techniques, or we go back to all of the older art, and it had heart, it had life. But the problem is, like I said, AI will eventually be overfed. And it's just going to copy every single art style that it can be fed. And what I mean by overfed, it'll have it all. And they'll have gotten away with it. And I weep for that day, and I wish I had a crying toggle. I really do. But, of course, sorry for the tangent there, guys. Anyway, moving forward. This man's early life, to the European monarchs he would later meet with, Hasekura Tsunenaga had an impressive background. He was born in 1571 during a time of great political and social change in Japan, far from the centralized country it would later become. Japan was a patchwork of small fiefdoms ruled by local noblemen known as daimyo. During his adulthood, Hasekura grew close to the daimyo of Sendai, Date Masamune. Only 4 years separated Hasekura from the daimyo in age, so he worked for him directly. That is an important tie. Unfortunately, the article, I believe, put this kind of... yeah. Masamune Date, you know, is the Date clan. Granted, very important figure in Japanese history, if you know Japanese history. Little else is known about Hasekura's early life. As a member of the samurai class and a descendant of the Japanese imperial family, his youth was undoubtedly privileged. And of course, if anybody knows Japanese, feel free to correct me if I am pronouncing something incorrectly. I would rather be corrected and say things properly, because that is how you speak with honor. It's respect. So, he received extensive training in armed and unarmed combat, skills necessary to defend any daimyo. He may have even known how to wield an arquebus, a large clunky gun introduced by the Portuguese sailors to Japan in the 1540s. Regardless of his combat skills, Hasekura forged a close relationship with his daimyo and positioned himself as a man of agency in changing Japan. So yes, one of the things to consider is, I think this is close to, I mean, year-wise, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking he's actually close to Warring States era, where the Oda clan was marching across Japan and striving for the unification. And that, of course, is a very rough time for Japan, because easiest way to gloss over it really quick is the Warring States period of Japan. I was first introduced to it through games, of course, but it's where, when I was a child, like really young, the first instance of learning Eastern history had to do with Romance of the Three Kingdoms for the Nintendo Entertainment Center system. And Romance of the Three Kingdoms, of course, was the three factions China. There was three separate factions, and the whole idea was to, unify China. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then the same company released Samurai Warriors. And as soon as I saw that, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, whoa. there's not just 3 factions. And then I started looking into it. I'm like, wait a second, there's 13 states. It just blew my mind. It was like, okay, so Japan back in that era was that fractured. And there were so many tales, so many stories, so many lives lived. But, you know, this is one of those, I wish this man would have been one of the hidden characters in the game, you know, because it would play things out a bit different, I'm sure. Samurai, Christian, and world traveler. Asakura Tsunaga's world was an increasingly connected one. For hundreds of years, Japan had contact with China and other parts of East Asia. In the mid-16th century, European powers arrived on the scene, Portugal and Spain. The Europeans' motives were both economic and religious. Spain, in particular, remained high in its 1492 conquest of Western Europe's final Muslim enclaves. The Spanish and the Portuguese were fixated not only on building trade with distant countries, but also on spreading Christianity to all corners of the globe. And of course, Japan fits into their mission. The Catholic Church's initial entry into Japan actually met with considerable success. The Jesuits, originally led by St. Francis Xavier, were the first religious order to arrive on Japanese shores. By the end of the 16th century, over 200,000 Japanese people had converted to Catholicism. The Franciscan and Dominican orders, sponsored by Spain, would also play a role in Japanese conversion efforts. At times, their goals even collided with those of the Portuguese Jesuits. The different religious orders, while campaigning for the same missionary cause, were rival players in geopolitical battle between their patron countries. So yeah, that made things just a little bit more interesting, I'm sure. Hasekura was among those Japanese intrigued by the Catholic message, yet one of his primary reasons for taking up the mantle of diplomat may have been personal. In 1612, authorities in Sendai forced his father to take harikiri after he was accused of corrupt behavior. Okay, so I'm rewording it just a little bit. Yes, harikiri, because he was accused of corrupt machinations or behavior in his station. So in order to save face and die with honor, he had to end that. And, well, with Hasekura's family name disgraced, Date Masamune gave him one final option: lead an embassy to Europe or face punishment. So, of course, sins of the father, you know. It sucks, but that was one of the things that always happened in history. We always talk about sins of the father, and it still goes on to this day. You need only look to Twitter. You need only look to social media, and you'll find many different call-outs, especially under influencers, content creators. You'll find it all over the place. There are people that will always blame the younger children of a person because of the sins of their father. Because it comes down to the American saying of, the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. You know, basically implying that, you know, like father, like son. The father committed atrocities or whatever, and it's likely the son will too. So, and it just writes off people before you even know them or even give them a chance, which is so unchristian-like. I could get very loud about that. But I won't. I had to breathe for a second. So, he crossed, and a Mexican pit stop. While Portugal may have been the first European power to arrive in Japan, Spain had taken its place as the most powerful Pacific empire by 1613. From 1565 until 1815, the Spanish dominated a trans-Pacific network known to scholars today as the Manila Galleon trade. Ships would sail between the Philippines and South Asia and the Mexican port city of Acapulco, loaded with goods such as silk, silver, and spices. This was how Hasekura began his journey. Along with an entourage of about 180 merchants, Europeans, samurai, and Christian converts, Hasekura left Japan in the fall of 1613. The trip to Acapulco lasted about 3 months, and the Japanese arrived in the city January 25th, 1614. One local chronicler, the indigenous Nahua writer Shimalpain, recorded Hasekura's arrival. Shortly after they landed, he wrote, "A Spanish soldier traveling with them, Sebastian Vizcaino, got into a fight with his Japanese counterparts." Shimalpain added that the lordly emissary, Hasekura, only stayed in Mexico for a short time before continuing on to Europe. Interestingly, the analyst made sure to note that Hasekura wanted to wait until he reached Europe to be baptized. For the samurai, the payoff would come at the end. So, he probably stood there for quite a while they painted that. Definitely a handsome Japanese man, I'll tell you that. Naturally, Hasekura Tsunenaga's first stop in Europe was Spain. He and his entourage met with the king, Philippe III. And they gave him a letter from Date Masamune requesting trade agreement. It was in Spain that Hasekura finally received his baptism, taking the Christian name Felipe Francisco. After months in Spain, he then stopped quickly in France before continuing to Rome. In October 1615, the Japanese embassy arrived at the port of Civitavecchia, and Hasekura would meet with Pope Paul V at the Vatican in early November. As he had done with the Spanish king, Hasekura gave the Pope a letter from Date Masamune and requested a trade deal. Additionally, he and his daimyo sought European missionaries to instruct Japanese Catholic converts further in their faith. The Pope was evidently impressed with Hasekura, enough to reward him with honorary Roman citizenship. Hasekura even had his portrait painted, either by Archita Ricci or Claude Derouet. Today, Hasekura's image can also be seen in a fresco at the Quirinal Palace in Rome. There's some seriousness right there. If you actually are in the Quirinal Palace, yeah. So, Hasekura and his entourage retraced their route to return home. They crossed again through Mexico before sailing across the Pacific for the Philippines. In 1620, Hasekura finally reached Japan. And here is where the story is going to go sideways. I just know it. Because the orders from the emperor, it's just going to happen. Yep. The Martyrs of Nagasaki, 1597, by Wolfgang Killian, right there, yep. When Hasekura Tsunenaga finally returned from his global adventures, he would meet with a changed Japan. During his time away, the Tokugawa had turned harshly against the presence of the Catholic priests. Tokugawa Hidetada feared that the priests were pulling the Japanese people away from local values and towards belief in a foreign deity, an act of rebellion. The only way to submit his authority was to kick the Europeans out and expunge Japan of all its Christians. Unfortunate. We unfortunately don't know much about what happened to Hasekura after he returned home. The King of Spain did not take him up on his offer of trade, and he died in 1622 of natural causes, with few sources recording details of the precise fate. After 1640, his family found themselves under suspicion. Hasekura's son, Tsuneyori, was among those executed for harboring Christians. From this, the one thing most people don't realize, from this is where Christianity went underground. It went underground in Japan. It was in hiding, but it was still there. It's the one thing that doesn't get talked about much. After the failed Christian-fueled Shimbara rebellion of 1638, the shogun would evict the Europeans from Japanese territories. Japan largely isolated itself from the rest of the world, and being a Christian became punishable by death. Right there. And that is precisely why it went underground. Because, I mean, it's how that went with regards to the emperor and everything else. So those converts who survived the ensuing state persecution had to hide their beliefs for the next 200 years. And to this day, since everything has changed and things are more open now, there are small pockets of enclaves of Japanese Christians. They're there. They exist. In fact, some of them have family lines that trace all the way back. And if I were to ever go to Japan, I would go visit a few churches. I'm not going to twist it wrong or anything like that. I would definitely go to a few historical sites and other things, but I would definitely visit the churches to be able to actually speak with them. Because it's all about viewpoints and seeing another viewpoint and being able to speak the word with the others. So yeah. The legacy and why does he matter? He's a fascinating figure. He was a samurai of considerable importance who converted to and maintained his faith. Tonenaga met with the highest-ranking figures in Catholic Europe, the King of Spain, the Pope. He was part of an increasingly globalized Catholic Church, yet the trade deal he sought never came to pass. Instead, Europe and Japan's paths diverged wildly, not meeting again for another 250 years. At home, his efforts were largely forgotten until modern era. Some might be tempted to label him a failure. After all, he went back to Japan with nothing major. That'd be short-sighted. During a 7-year period, he accomplished many feats that many of his contemporaries anywhere in the world could boast. I mean, come on. He traveled the world. He met with kings, the Pope. I mean, he did a lot. And then when he finally came home, unfortunately, things didn't come to pass the way he had hoped. Yeah, the final 2 years are murky. He seems to have held on to his faith. Such spiritual conviction has to have meant something. The global journey he undertook was not all for naught. I agree. But there is also not just him. So I wanted to move upward just a little bit here. How a Japanese warlord may soon become a Catholic saint. I'm not Catholic, but they are Christians. This is something that's happening on, and I would like to admit we're a little behind on the times here. I don't know where it's currently sitting, but this is as of the end of July this year. Yep. Christianity in Japan got off to a promising start after the first Jesuit missionaries arrived in the country in the mid-16th century. They quickly converted many Japanese people by securing the favor and protection of powerful warlords. Nobunaga Oda, somewhat ironically given his nickname, was on very good terms with the Christians. Tohoku warrior Date, one-eyed dragon Masamune, even sent samurai to meet the Pope. Yep, which is the story we just went through. But through a mix of paranoia, language barriers, and plain old politics, the religion was banned in Japan in early 17th century following decades of expulsions, persecution, martyrdoms. The Vatican currently recognizes hundreds of Japanese martyrs and 42 saints. Soon that figure may rise to 43 if the church decides to canonize one Yusto Takamayama Ukon, Genuine Catholic samurai warlord. So, there were plenty of other Japanese Catholics that were not samurai. But here we have an example of actually having a samurai. So, Ukon was born in 1552 or 53 in either modern-day Nara or Osaka. One of the earliest Christian converts. His family held a lot of power, and the church considered them an important ally in spreading their religion in the country. Though influence from Portuguese missionaries, Tomotero had his son and 150 members of the clan baptized, bestowing on him the name Justo, or in Latin Justus, the just one. But you know how kids are, always rebelling against their parents, rejecting Christianity in favor of Zen Buddhism, and the culture of the samurai until they get into a duel at age 18 or 19, kill their opponent, but become seriously wounded and spend months recuperating, all while learning to embrace Catholicism. You know, typical childhood stuff. Happens every day, right? Yeah, don't forget to hit me up for a lurk check. Okay, guys? Now, after his recovery, he got to work expanding the family's power base and set out on numerous campaigns, or, for lack of a better word, slaughters. Served Nobunaga during part of the Ishiyama Hogani War against Buddhist zealots led by a warrior monk who could have been shogun. Then, after Nobunaga's death, he followed Toyotomi Hideyoshi all the way to the siege of Kagoshima. During the conquest of Kyushu, he did not, as far as we know, report seeing the flying dog that supposedly terrorized Hideyoshi. Well, that would have been something else. I'm just gonna say that. That would have been something else. If you would have seen the flying dog, hey. In between his fighting, he was preaching Christianity and conducting mass conversions, because why bother with piecemeal proselytization when you can do things in bulk? So yeah, oversaw and encouraged construction of seminaries, orphanages, chapels, churches. However, while this apparently wasn't his wish, the construction mania resulted in a few Shinto shrines and Buddhist temples being destroyed for timber, which made Yusto more than a few enemies. Yeah, that is part of the reason that I would think the emperor got a little mad. Because the emperor wasn't Christian. And he was probably Shinto, as was the majority of the country during these silent times, because that was the primary religion. So, yeah, Hideyoshi Toyotomi issued an anti-Christianity edict pretty much out of nowhere. There had been some tensions between the government and Christians, but the proclamation took many by surprise, although it wasn't widely enforced. Many Japanese saw the writing on the wall and publicly renounced Christianity. Some continued their faith in secret as Kakuri Kishiten, Japan's hidden Christians. Yep. Yusto chose option C. He refused to apostatize and lost his land's status and wealth, telling his tea ceremony teacher, Sennoriku, the most important figure in the history of Shenoyo, that denouncing Christ went against his samurai spirit. Yusto then went into exile, first in Shiroshima and then in Kanazawa, for his own safety. Many other Japanese Christians weren't so lucky. In 1597, Hideyoshi had 26 Catholics crucified in Nagasaki. Ieyasu continued this policy, even ramping up the religious persecution which erupted in 1622 during the Great Gena martyrdom, when 55 Christians were burned alive or beheaded. Yusto never lived to see it, though. After Ieyasu issued his own anti-Christianity edict back in 1614, the samurai warlord felt he was no longer safe in Japan and set sail for the Philippines. Well, it's how things are. He did not report seeing Oda Nobunaga anywhere. That would figure. That would be standard, I'm sure. Yusto was warmly welcomed in Manila by the Catholic Church, which wanted to use him as a rallying symbol for an invasion of Japan to forcefully convert the country, but Yusto wanted nothing to do with it. Very Christian of him. Very Christian of him. He was tired from facing so much hatred because of his faith and died a little over a month after arriving, seemingly from exhaustion. But Pope Francis officially classified it as suffering for his faith to make him a martyr in 2016. Calls for the church to recognize his contributions to Christianity started as early as 1630, but better late than never, I guess. Hey, who said the Catholic Church does anything fast? They tend to be pretty measured in their steps in anything they do, for the most part. But we're not going to get into church hurt today, because you could bring up anything that the Catholic Church does, and there's always going to be somebody who will take different sides on the matter. So Takayama Ukan was officially beatified in Osaka with an audience of 10,000 faithful. Feast day is February 3rd. Finally, in 2023, Thomas Aquino Manyo Maeda, the Archbishop of Osaka Takamatsu, confirmed that the Vatican is looking into possible miracles connected. The final step. If everything goes right, soon Roman Catholics around the world will have an honest God samurai warlord saint who fought under the Demon King. If this is a ploy to get more people interested in Catholicism, well played. And just from seeing this, since I've been known to actually play Samurai Warriors, the next edition, would they actually throw this in? I mean, throw in Yusto? That would be a thing. That would definitely be a thing. I would probably chuckle just a little bit. But I do have one last tab. Now, Sword Guards confirm Samurai Warriors secretly followed Christianity. And this calls back to what I talked about earlier, where I said that things went underground. Christian samurai. Just blows my mind. Because I mean, everybody has the image of a samurai warrior, and everybody pretty well sees it in all of the different art and the different stories and everything else. But predominantly all of the depictions are Shinto or Buddhist. And here, I mean, just this image alone right here, the sword guards themselves. I mean, like right here, you can see the cross. Hey, Joe boy, welcome in, welcome in. I'm just your silly little bird man here. I will never claim to be an angel. Wait a minute, I has sword? Yeah, there were Christian samurai, Joe boy. That's what I'm going over here, was the history of Japanese Catholics. That they did exist. It's just when Japan went into the quiet times that all of a sudden, you know, Christianity went underground under pain of death. Christians were persecuted in Japan for 250 years. And then after that was reversed, now we're starting to get even more history and knowledge. So, at least 48 sword guards used by samurai warriors during the feudal era belonged to hidden Christians. Artifacts are related to the early history of 16th and 17th century Japan, which saw the persecution of Christians and the Shimabara rebellion, an uprising of Catholic Christian peasants. According to the Asahi Shimbun, which is actually a Japanese paper, the Sawada Miki Kinenkan Museum in Kanagawa Prefecture owns 367 sword guards, which were examined by the chairman of the non-profit group Nihon Token Ozonkai, the Japan Sword Preservation Association. Oh, not a problem. You have a good one. Take care, Joe boy. God bless. And other researchers, 48 were identified as belonging to Christians. 6 months of research. So, they went back on display at the museum on May 10th and were suspected as belonging to Christians. The discovery by the team provided important evidence confirming the legends. This is just images of different samurai. Now, discovery is extremely rare due to the anti-Christian policies, which of course they hid. More than 10 sword guards were made during the Sengoku period, the Warring States period. Other swords are believed to have been created after Hideyoshi Toyotomi. They were also in use after the anti-Christian measures. Symbols discovered by Nakanashi, which proved the existence of the Christian samurai, included carefully hidden Christian crosses in their designs. Yeah, Christians were also known to have drawn crosses on objects such as Buddhist statues and other artifacts. The aim was to manifest the existence of their secret religion, which the ruling elite were trying to stamp out. A sword guard identified as belonging to a hidden Christian has a statue of Christ inside it, while a foreign vessel is engraved on the outside. Definitely in hiding. Yeah. Recently published book, Christ's Samurai, The True Story of the Shimabara Rebellion. Author described the difficult fate of the Christians. Christianity in Japan has a very old tradition, but for centuries was not allowed to follow the Christian path, which was made officially illegal in 1614. Christians were branded with hot irons, crucified, dipped repeatedly in boiling water for being part of an uprising. Shimabara Castle. And that would definitely be the spot where things went bad. In 1638, the ruler of Japan ordered a crusade against his own subjects, a holocaust upon the men, women, and children of a, quote, doomsday cult, I'm adding in here. Introduced a century earlier by foreign missionaries, the sect was said to harbor dark designs to overthrow the government. Its teachers used a dead language that was impenetrable to all but the innermost circle of believers. Its priests preached love and kindness, but helped local warlords acquire firearms. They encouraged believers to cast aside their earthly allegiances and swear loyalty to a foreign god emperor before seeking paradise in terrible martyrdoms. Now, I would definitely say there are some people who would looking from the outside in would find that very scary if they didn't actually read, if they didn't bother to learn. Okay. In the book, there's the story of a pregnant woman who was kept in a submerged cage. The incident perhaps triggered the Shimabara Rebellion, which lasted from December 17th to April 15th during the rule of Edo Bakufu. The last feudal Japanese military government, the shogun forces slaughtered thousands of Christians. The leader of the rebels was Jerome Amakusa, who has remained an icon of Japanese Christianity until now. What a painting. The Christian martyrs of Nagasaki. Yeah, I'm not zooming in. I already know exactly what happened. Pope Francis approved the beatification of Takayama Ukon, a Japanese samurai, and we've gone over this before. Yep, confirming that 188 Japanese Christians who died from persecution. So, and that's how things continue forward. Of course. But that's about how we have it for today on that, and we'll be definitely considering game. So, on that note, let me just get that thing wound up. I hope nobody minds, but I'm going to see how much further. I think we've only got like a couple of streams left with regards to cleaning up the crime scenes. And then maybe after that, I might consider different game. I might even throw out a poll or something on Twitter for those who follow me to give it a shot, just to see if we can get that rolling. Oh, come on. There we go. Got it. Good. Let me just get my butt out of the way here. One moment, guys. Okay, sorry about the holdup, guys. Sorry. Had to deal with something real quick. So, let's see here. You know, kids need food, that sort of stuff. I'm sure you get that. Gotta make sure the food is going on. So let's change things around just a little bit. Good. There we go. There we are. Get that fixed. There we go. That should help. There. Thanks for being patient with me. Let's see where we are. Okay. 2 points, right. A lot of the stuff is higher than that, so we'll see. Uh-oh. Phone going off again? No. Heck with it.
Daddy is a criminal now, but you're still a good boy.
That wine gets me.
I knew I could count on you. My daughter always gets into trouble and makes some kind of mess. That's when I come in handy.
This guy makes my skin crawl.
But I'm sure you know how daughters are, don't you?
He must think we're the same, but surely we're not. Unlike him, I don't have any other choice. Or do I?
Definitely have to ask yourself that, sir. Onto the bed. Progress forward. Oh boy. Getting things set up for his daughter, I think.
One last touch. Elena, what would you think about your dad if you knew what he did to get it?
Yeah. He's got to question things, I'm sure.
Sorry, Dexter, but it's no time for a walk.
Oh, hate having to say that to a pupper. Makes me wonder, are there any... Did he ever make any hidden things? Let's see. Nope. Not there. Nothing new there. Let's see if there's any of that weird email stuff going on. Oh. Wanted to let you know that I'm starting to feel better. Doctors say the treatment's working. Been able to get out of bed more often. Even joined in on group activity today. It was fun. Felt good to laugh again. Still have to take it easy, but it's nice to see progress. And she's looking forward to come home and be with the dog. However... Oh no. After the last VIP event, art gallery requires your cleaning services. Location size max. Oh no. You'll understand what I mean when you get here. Not everything went according to plan. Can't risk any mistakes. I'm already in trouble with some important people, so I'm hoping you can help me clean the mess. Oh man. I just have a feeling this is gonna get messy. And the picture of his daughter at the desk. Can we insert the Simpsons Do It For Her logo? And modern art.
It'll be a long night.
Oh yeah.
Seeing with my own eyes what these billionaires use their money for was disgusting. While some of us are trying to make ends meet, others find pleasure in some gruesome fun. The world really is just a playground for the rich.
All right. So we start off here. There's the thing.
Cleaning artist reporting for duty.
Okay. Well, some of this is... Oh, boy. Let's see. Well... What the... Who puts a dinosaur bone in a toilet? What the heck? Okay. I'm just trying to find where the spigot is. Well, yeah, they had a band, it looks like. Let's see. Try to find where the janitor's closet is. Oh, that does not look good. That's strange. Talk about art gallery, all right. Got more here. Now, let's use the fence. Oh, there it is. Over that
I
way.
believe that none of them came here to admire the art.
Well. North Exposition. Okay. Is there a way to turn on a light? Doesn't look like it. But at least we can get a bucket here. All right. Next bucket. Let's get this started. All right. Now. Start up the detergent. At least I can say I'm not cheesing it. I actually looked online to try to see if there was a better route on things, and all of a sudden I saw something had to do with cheesing the detergents. And I'm like, why? Because the thing just not exactly working. Let's get the mops prepped. And sponges. There we go. That starts that. Okay. Let's see. All right. Gotta start somewhere. All right. See if there's anything else kicking around. Nope. Oh, wait. Right there. Mop. See here. Oh yeah. That's a bit messy. What do we got here?
The best defense is a good offense.
Interesting.
The dinosaur went on a killing spree.
Oh, wait a second. Okay. Grab the dude and get it out of here. Ten bodies, and this is the first one. Oof. Just get far enough. Nope, not far enough. There. All right, now. As for this, we're going to need to put this somewhere. I'll just set it out there, so that I don't have to mess around. Man, what a mess. What did he do? Track it everywhere? There we go. Bet the chair goes somewhere else too. Man, they just move everything in this place.
I may not have a brain, gentlemen, but I have an idea.
I'm looking around. Nope. Nothing there. There. Back here.
More war supplies.
Got nothing.
What is that?
There
What
we go.
the f is that?
Oh boy. TVs. Hmm. 16% of the blood. I'm missing a spot, aren't I? Only 16%. How much you want to bet? Yep, that's what I thought. In here. Move this to just outside the door. Let's move the lamp to just inside. And let's get to work. Yeah. My bell isn't active. I'm very sorry about that. Let me see. Might need to take a second and see if there's some... Let's see. There. This might have fixed it. There we go. Yeah, I might have it fixed now, Jay. Thanks for pointing it out. There we go. Yeah, that they do. Oh. Ooh. What the heck? You only know a guy who jammed with the ray?
That must have been a terrible joke.
Oh yeah. That's a very horrible joke there. And they're both dirty. So, anyway. Clean up all the walls. Yeah, the water gun. Yeah, it's one of those things. Back in the early, back in like the 80s and 90s, there was a thing where they didn't have the legislation that was set up for
One hell of an unlucky guy.
like it didn't, toy guns didn't have to have orange tips. Everything could be, it could look realistic. That's a good question. 1 second. Nah, it's a dude. That's a dude. You can tell by the face. That's a dude. And I will say it. Yeah, the chest says otherwise, but it had manly face. So, yeah, on that note, yes, I have played Hogwarts Legacy, just not on stream. We'll just get that out of the way right now. All right. Oh. Bunch of stuff knocked over. Okay. There's trash? What the? Ooh. Oh. Well, as for the toy gun thing, who knows? Missing exhibits. Okay. I'm just gonna have to set this out here. Because, yeah. Missing exhibits. Bit of a thing. Don't know exactly where they all go. Oh, this is the
Praise
mess.
Duck Lord.
Ugh. Yeah. They had to put the ducks in here. The person who did this exhibit, they must own a Jeep. I mean, seriously, they must own a Jeep. Let's fill the bag, shall we? Now. All right. Actually, Jay, I have a couple of friends who own Jeeps, and one of the things that they like to prank each other with is little rubber duckies. They'll actually put a rubber ducky on each other's Jeep. I don't get it either, but it's one of those things that they do. You know, just Jeep owners, they do that. I can admit I took the perks that walking on top of blood, I'm not going to be tracing it anywhere. All right. Now, somebody left a sword. Yeah, that's one heck of a sword. What did somebody do? Like,
sword or katana. Let's call it a draw.
jeez. Bad jokes, bad jokes. Yeah, I agree. Katana would be, you know, more stylish. Well, we'll just say stylish. Because if we're going to talk functionality, katanas have to be done with finesse. That's just how things are. A broadsword, you can use brute strength. But a katana, you have to use finesse to be able to actually wield correctly.
Sayonara, brave samurai.
All right. Let's see about bringing that bucket in. So now we got a mop. Man, this guy walked around every single exhibit. That's just nuts. That was weird. Oh, man. I've got to put together a dinosaur. I mean, seriously? Guess that's what it looks like. Okay. Let's set this here. I'll move things towards the door. And then maybe... There we go. Missed a spot. There we are. There we go. This. 86%. Man, so slow.
Is this just my imagination, or am I seeing a lot of ducks lately?
All right. And there goes that bucket. Hey, hey,
Everybody get in here.
Coral. Hey, hey. Of course, Coral. But of course, I enjoyed giving you a bunch of heck for this, you know? It was kind of fun. Well, let's do what a lot of people don't like people doing. Jump the rope. See what's hiding. Oh. Oh. Oops. Pretty good, pretty good. Started off the night with verse with the armor of God. Moved into discussing the Christian samurai of Japan. And now we're here. Cleaning up crime scenes for mob bosses.
Was it really that funny to the almighty VIPs?
Oh boy. Ugh, dang it. Well, gotta get there somehow. Yeah, this one, you basically, I mean, it's one of those chill games where you're cleaning things up. You know how you've got all those games that are like Power Wash Simulator and all that kind of thing. Only this one has a little bit of a mafia story tied to it. Because you're like, I'm stuck cleaning things up for the mob. I don't know if the big Jim is gonna end you. So all of a sudden you got to go around. This stage is, I think, maybe second or third from the last because the footprint is the largest. It's set to the largest footprint, and there are 10 total bodies in the entire place. And in order to get a perfect score, you have to take care of all of the trash. You've got to clean up all of the blood. You've got to put all of the furniture back. Apparently with this one, you've got to put the art exhibits back together. Yeah, I've heard it's close to Viscera cleanup detail. Only it's a little bit different because it has to deal with the mob. I enjoy this type of game. I'm half tempted to actually... I'm waiting for Kaiju cleanup. Because I saw that's on my radar. Kaiju cleanup. Where it actually shows somebody is doing that stuff. Ooh, missed a spot. Oh. UV lamp. Oh, yep. Mop. There we go. Yeah, it's supposed to be, yeah, Kaiju number 8. It's based off of that. Okay. There's bloodstains somewhere on there that I just cannot... There they are. Come on. There. And that's... Gotta go back in here. There. Put it away. Oof. There's that spot. What the heck? A door that goes nowhere? Oh, dang it. I guess I'm gonna be trying all the doors. Oh. Bingo. I needed that. Oh. Couldn't get into Naruto. I'm not that big into shonen because I haven't really gotten into too many shonen because I'm too old.
Everybody get in here.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for the follow, Kitzel. Oh yeah. The rampant ADHD, yeah, that's kind of a thing. Granted, the anime that got me all started is something that a lot of people kind of cock their head to the side and take it into question. Tenchi Muyo. I don't know if anybody here knows that one, but that's my old era's. Well, of course, some people love to ask, what was the first ever anime that you'd ever seen? Mine, a lot of people don't even know it. Armitage the Third. It's all cyberpunky, that kind of stuff. The setting is Mars. Oh, Kitzel. with regards to Tenchi, the best way to say it is there's Tenchi OVA, there's Tenchi Universe, there's Tenchi in Tokyo, there's I actually started out, I mean, this is, you'll laugh. Back in the 90s when you had to actually buy the physical media to be able to watch. First thing I ever bought was Tenchi Muyo OVA after I'd only seen like 2 episodes of Tenchi Universe on Adult Swim late at night. You know, just being a teenager during the early Adult Swim days. So it's kind of like, oh, yeah, Tenchi, I'm going to order that and buy it. Little did I know it was the OVA. Oh, yeah, that too, Kitzel. But the OVA, yeah, that was the first time I kind of got introduced to the more borderline ecchi. So yeah, the lewds are a thing when it comes to the OVA. If you don't want the lewds, then don't go for the OVA. But I still have that. I still have the DVDs. But of course. Yeah. Toonami was they actually had 2 different sets. One was the afternoon, and one was actually in the evening. Yeah, when Bleach started to come on Adult Swim, I unfortunately lost cable. And I had a whole bunch of life going on, so yeah. But still, I ended up introducing to a whole bunch of other friends to different animes by getting them to stay up late with me on Adult Swim nights. And all of a sudden going, yeah, guys, I'm going to be watching this. I don't care what you guys want to do, but I got my anime to watch. Yeah, and I ended up getting a couple of friends that really got into Cowboy Bebop and Trigun. I think I had one friend who was really big into Outlaw Star. And I think one of my other friends was a massive Samurai Champloo fan. So yeah, all of my friends were definitely on different spots. Oh, you need to watch the original Cowboy Bebop, Kitsoul. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow, Semdorion. Jay, I'm multi-stream, sir. It's one of those different things. I'm multi-stream, so my alerts are on different spots and different places. Because, you know, you can watch me from wherever you prefer, because that's how I like to say it. Oh boy. Last man alive wins. Only one winner claims the prize. You can't surrender. Can't bring anything from the outside. Can't use anything found in the building. Find the supply box. You can use the contents. You will be led to different starting locations. Game starts on a signal. Can't leave the building. Can't enter VIP zone. Any rule breach. Ouch.
I I think I've seen this film before.
I would say so. Oh, jeez. Gotta put the jaw in there. There. Get his chomper in there. And the chair does not belong there. Okay. Where does this go? Weird. Weird hands. Oh, yeah. I heard about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Cleaning comes before fixing.
Okay. There's another painting, another painting. Yeah, I might have to actually check out Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm seriously thinking I need to actually get some other time in. But then, of course, I also have limited time on different things, so I have to choose wisely. Which I'm sure you guys understand all too well. Oh, sheesh, I missed a spot. Can't have footprints. Let's see. Well, I've made it back to the front entry. And of course, every time I have to use the mop, I'm immediately reminded of Adam Sandler, his first album.
The day the music survived.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit of a thing, Coral. With regards to policing the voice chat, it would require doing settings on that sort of thing. Like, you could set it for, you know, a lot of other people are not able to actually talk in voice chat. I mean, I'm thinking that might be the case on some things, where you might have to go that route. I mean, if you're afraid of a whole bunch of people getting unruly, you know. One moment, guys. I gotta handle a kitty moment, so bear with me. There, sorry about that. I have rowdy kitties, and two of them were trying to climb up onto the table, and yeah, making a mess, playing around. Man, there's plenty of balloons here. Time to be a party pooper. Getting in the way. Oh boy, I need to go grab that bucket and bring it this way. Because seriously. But, oh no. I need to find a key, don't I? Because there's a door over there. I need to find my way in. Oh boy. Is this what I think it is? Okay, there's big cassette tapes. But let's see. Let's close that. I'm puzzling something out here. Okay, let's move over here. Here. Okay. Okay. All right. Oh. Woohoo! Hey, hey! Found a secret. Secret. What do we got in here? Ooh. Hey, found the loot. There we go. Got the loot. Now, let's see. That closes the door. What else we got in here? Huh. Definitely interesting. Well, I definitely missed a spot on that painting there. Oops. Yep. There we go. Oh boy. The rug. It's always the rug. Mop will never do that. There we go. Oh. Thank you. Thank you, James, for the follow. Welcome back, Joe Boy. Welcome back. I'm still cleaning up plenty of messes in the art gallery. How was that Bible study, sir? Hopefully you had a good one. Any specific verses you were going over, sir? The fruits of the Spirit. Yeah.
Never say no to a paid day off.
Oof. Well, with regards to things, I'm about out of time. So, I do apologize. I'm probably going to have to save right here and pick up where we leave off. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. So so we're going to have to see who we're going to raid into. I hope you're not going to have a mind on that one. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah. The way life goes, Joe boy, it's the way life goes. But at least I can say this one. My connection finally stabilized. Joe boy, you'll get the joke. It's no longer saying unstable. So yeah. So let's see here. I will have to say, let's see here. Digging through a little bit here. Okay. I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna pick this person to raid on out to. Looks like they're having a good time over in Minecraft. X9VT, another Christian streamer. So definitely gonna have to give them a hit. And hopefully everybody else is able to have a beautiful night. And remember, bless the Lord, for He provides everything. Everything that you have is provided. And that includes the challenges. Don't forget to say a dangerous prayer. You have a good one, guys.